Hello, everyone. This is Steve Bennett from Special Mix, Maryland. We're going to get started here with the pre-competition bocce webinar in just 1 second. That was your warning. Okay, so I've got 7 o'clock on the dot, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, thanks everyone for joining us this evening for the 2019 Summer Games Bocce Pre-Competition Coaches Webinar. Again, my name is Steve Bennett, Special Olympics staff representative, and we also have Kendall Zeswitz, our former sports director and current volunteer venue director for Bocce, on the call as well. This call and webinar is being recorded. We will share the link with the slides as well as the recording with you, and we will put that on our coaches resource page on the website so that everyone can have this and refer to it as need be. So don't worry about taking all kinds of crazy notes. Again, we will send out the slide deck electronically and also provide that on our website. So again, just so everyone knows, hopefully this isn't a surprise, Summer Games are the 7th through the 9th of June at Towson University for the bocce competition. Just some things we're going to hit on is the map. That's what we're going to spend most of the time on tonight, is it being a new location this year. We've taken some pictures. We'll share those with you and discuss some of the new layout locations for this year. Go over some additional Summer Games updates, the master schedule, the block party, Olympic Park, opening ceremony, transportation, and then get into some bocce specific information. So just as a reminder, as we start every webinar, no athlete or volunteer can participate in any shape, form, or matter whatsoever without all of their current certifications and applications and forms in place. So just keep that as a reminder moving into the future if you're coaches for any other sports. This is our basic coaching education and development program. Again, thank you to Janet Larimore for providing this in a more usable, friendly format. So this just talks about the different levels of the coaches and volunteers and what is required for their certifications in order to fill those roles. This is the overall layout of Towson University in a nutshell. The things I do want to point out is this is the new location for Burdick Fields where the bocce competition will take place. This is right beside Burdick Hall where the swimming competition has been the last 2 years. And again, these are the fields which will show that in a little bit later on in the slide deck. Towson Town Boulevard Garage is located right here in the corner. That's can be used for swimming and or bocce parking. We also have the University Union Garage, which is going to be the best bet for bocce individuals parking, as you'll see in some slide decks, especially for those delegations who want to bring their own tents, because this will get you the location closest to the fields and closest to where your area for setup will be in regards to delegation tents. That's the basic layouts. Again, we'll talk about that in a little bit further detail regarding bocce specifically. So you'll see all the other locations throughout, but again, this map will be provided in the slide deck for your reference, and it's also on our website as well for easy reference. Just go over the general master schedule for the games. Not really for any of you guys, but the delegation registration is on the 2nd floor of the University Union on June 6th. That's primarily for all HODs or heads of delegation. And then we follow that up with the HOD meeting that evening from 6 to 8 in the 3rd floor of the University Union in the Chesapeake Room. This is where the heads of delegation come and get their keys, get lapel pins for all the athletes, that kind of stuff, and all the heat sheets, etc., for general purposes and general information. So then we move into Friday. So we have cheerleading competition and swimming on Friday. Swimming is new this year to be conducted on Friday. We will have a family hospitality location that will serve both bocce and swimming. I'll show you that in a minute. Dinner will be at the Susquehanna Dining Hall in the University Union. You can refer to the event guide for the different shifts. After dinner, everyone will head up to Lot 20 by the CQ Arena for the block party, leading into the opening ceremony. That's where merchandise and a lot of fun activities will take place. We do have a new location for the coaches meeting for Bocce this year. Because we're moving over to the University Union side of campus, in the University Union, room 314. So when you go to the Susquehanna dining area, it's in the upper floor. The third floor, you can take the stairs, or there is an elevator provided. But that's new. We wanted to have it on that side of campus, obviously, because that's where Bocce will take place. And people can go out and check it out prior to the meeting and or after the meeting leading up to the opening ceremony. For the opening ceremony, the staging for the parade of athletes, which is a representative parade this year, that will take place inside the CQ Arena. Your heads of delegation have made those choices for the athletes. It's a limit of 8 athletes and 2 chaperone coaches, whatever, that will represent each delegation parading into the ceremony. Then we'll obviously have the opening ceremony, the torch lighting, and then load the buses and get you back to your housing facilities. Saturday, again, breakfast will be in the Susquehanna dining area. We'll have the buses and the shuttles. If you're staying in the West Village, there'll be shuttle buses running you to and from University Union for breakfast. If you're in the residence tower, you will walk to the University Union for breakfast. There will be family hospitality, again, for athletics, swimming, and bocce, and then also at the off-site softball location. Healthy athletes will be taking place. You can refer to the event guide for that, and we'll give them more information to the heads of delegation at that meeting. Merchandise, again, on Saturday will be at the Towson Center in Lot 20, and also at the family locations. So the family hospitality for swimming and bocce will also have merchandise there. This is new. Dinner on Saturday will be back in the Susquehanna dining area in the University Union. In the previous years, we've had it at the Towson Center, outside with some sponsors, and leading into the dance and everything. This year, shuttles will take you back to the Susquehanna dining, pick people up from there, and shuttle them back up to Lot 20 after dinner for the Olympic Park and the dance and all of that going on Saturday evening. We will have a softball game, which is going to be kind of fun with all the coaches and law enforcement playing each other, while the athletes will be serving as coaches and umpires, and then also the home run derby. So when I say that, if you go up to Lot 20 on Saturday night for those activities, be aware that if you're near the softball out of bounds or outfield fence line, keep your head up and pay attention there. And obviously we'll have the dance. And family reception will be, it will not be in the CQ Arena. It was been moved to the University Union. Sunday, again, breakfast, same place. We'll get the buses going, get you out to your competitions. But again, for bocce, as soon as you're in the University Union, you just walk right over. Burdick Fields is right beside the University Union. So you guys are good to go there. Going to some transportation. Not going to hit all this real heavy. But again, just a reminder, buses will be making the loops around campus for once you're done with your competition. If you want to go check out some of the other activities, buses will be running all throughout campus and making stops throughout at the different locations on campus. Just a reminder, if you do go off campus, you must be seated in the bus if you're going to support your off-site softball team. Anywhere on campus, you are allowed to stand, so it's standing room only. The only thing here really to point out is after the opening ceremony, the delegations will be released by delegation and taking you back to your dorm rooms after that. So just kind of stay seated with your team until your delegation's called. You'll meet them right outside in Lot 20, and buses will take you back to your dorms. Opening ceremony, again, we talked about some of this information here. Again, check with your head of delegation to see if any of your athletes or you as coaches have been selected to parade in with the opening ceremony. Otherwise, everyone will go ahead and get seated inside the CQ Arena prior to the start of the opening ceremony. If we have any inclement weather, the block party will move into Towson Center, where the activities will take place there. and then people will make their way to the CQ Arena for opening ceremony. The heads of delegation will be letting us know, but if you guys want to let them know and make sure you're taken care of, if there's any members of your team that use wheelchairs or have serious mobility challenges, let your head of delegation know just so we can make sure that they have proper seating for the opening ceremony. And there's the email address to send that information to. Again, we talked about the transportation. I'm not going to spend any more time on that here. Olympic Park, there will be a dance demonstration there. And the theme of the dance, everyone wants to know, is Kings and Queens, going with our Game of Golds or Game of Summer theme for the Game of Thrones, if you will, taking the spin off of that. Young Athletes, or the YAP program, is an open house on Saturday. If you're not familiar with that, that's for any kids for the ages of like 2 to 6, with or without intellectual disability. So if you have any friends or family in the area and they have kids with or without a disability, have them come on out. It's just an early age to get everyone affiliated with our population and just have some fun skills where they're throwing balls and jumping and making baskets and kicking the balls. And it's just a really fun activity program for young kids. We will have healthy athletes this year. We'll give you some more details on that upcoming, but there will be some information that will be shared on both sides of campus. It's not the full-blown healthy athletes, but again, if you have the opportunity to partake in the free medical screenings and care, we strongly encourage you to do so with your athletes. Family services, as I said, are in several locations, but there is one servicing both swimming and bocce. That one will be combined, and we'll show you that exact location in a little bit. Meals, we've already talked about that. The only difference here is, just so everyone's aware, if you're on campus on Friday, the only delegation members that are receiving official lunches is the cheerleading competition and competitors, because they start their competition at 10 and get there a little earlier. Although swimming does have competition on Friday, they're starting later in the day, so they're on their own for lunch. Control Center, this is mainly for your heads of delegation, will be in the same place it has in the past, at the stadium in the Minigan room. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, just make sure you're communicating with your head of delegation. These are the 4 locations of the housing units this year. So we are in different rooms and different housing facilities. So the Douglas Hall, Towson Run Apartments, Barton Apartments are all in the West Village area. So again, just check with your HOD, find out where you're staying. And the only one different that's off of the West Village is the Residence Tower. The big red building. I think it used to be the Marriott or something to that effect. It has now been converted into Residence Tower and has been updated. So Jane Dunn has been working with your heads of delegation to put everyone in their rooming assignments, currently putting the final touches on that at this time. Reminder for you and all the athletes, etc. Keys must be returned on Sunday morning, not Saturday, Sunday morning as you check out. If not, there's a $75 fee that will be charged back to your delegation. No one wants to have that happen, so just work with everyone and make sure that your keys are returned on Sunday morning as you check out. The event guide has been published on our website and also sent out to all coaches, athletes, assistant coaches, family members, anybody who we have registered in GMS or a database for summer games with valid email addresses. We always get about 100 kickbacks with about sending it out to about 1,500 to 1,800 people. But this is the coach's resource page. If for some reason you did not receive it, this is a place where you can go and check out the event guide. I should have said earlier, and I apologize, if you have any questions during the webinar, you can either raise your hand in the sidebar window there or type in your question. We do have Zach Cintron, one of our sports directors here, moderating those questions. For medical, we will have a medical overnight in each of the housing facilities, and we always give you a couple reminders here as far as just hydration, We always say the bug repellent, that has been typically because in the past we've been over in the soccer fields where there can be some standing water. This year on the turf, we don't see that as a possibility. Well, I guess it is a possibility, but not a likelihood, not a strong likelihood for that. So it's more so about sunscreen and protect the athletes, because on turf, the temperature can be, warmer than typically out on the grass areas or whatever. It could be up to 20 degrees warmer than what you're seeing outside of the field area. If there is any inclement weather, we've got plans in the event guide for bocce. Your guys' evacuation would be, depending on the severity of it, either in the University Union or the Burdick Hall where the swimming competition is. We strongly recommend going into the University Union because Burdick Hall is going to be crowded anyway, so we'd like to keep people in the University Union. Just a reminder, that message will come to the venue director, and that will be an official announcement made at the competition venue. We work very closely with Towson to make sure that is worked in place. If there's any lightning strikes or whatever, we have to wait 30 minutes before we can resume competition. If competition is delayed for whatever reason and we restart, just know that we're working with transportation to make sure those shuttles are extended to make sure everyone gets where they need to go after competition. The competition team, again, want to recognize Kendall, and then Kara Moronic from also the IUS program. She will be serving with Kendall at the bocce venue. Then Denny, Portman, and Lucio will be our head officials. We will be looking for coaches to be on our sports rules committee if any protests are fielded. So we will address that at the coaches meeting. So Friday, again, the coaches meeting 6 to 6:30 in the Union. Singles competition will occur on, that should say, Saturday. So from 8 to 5, we'll talk about that in a minute. But just as a note, anybody using ramps will be divisioned among those who do not use ramps. Again, it's based on ability factors there. On Saturday after the competition, we'll have a quick coaches meeting in the bleachers or possibly in the awards area right after a competition. And then Sunday will be our doubles competitions. We only had one 4-person team registered this year. They've switched back to doubles, but we look to do more 4-person teams in the future. So I talked about singles on Saturday. We'll start with females, move into the males after the females have competed. And then on Sunday, we'll go with traditional doubles and then transfer over to unified doubles later on that day. We will open the courts about 7 o'clock each morning for warm-ups if needed and if desired. But at 7:45, that will be closed and get ready for competition. So as you see with the food schedule for dinner and the certain breakfast, although you may have a designated time, you can go as you please, but just know the fact that we're very, very limited on space. So try to stick to those schedules as mentioned as much as possible. And once you're done, no lollygagging around. Eat, get out, and let others come in. The University Union's under construction, and we have very limited seating capacity, so we'll make sure everybody has a chance to eat their meals. The coaches meeting on Friday, all head coaches must attend. Other coaches are more than welcome. We will hand out some materials and go over some reminders, etc. So here's the venue map. If you look down here, this is Burdick Hall. So this is where the swimming competition will take place. This is where the fields are. There are 2 turf fields. This is the competition field where it's labeled number 4. Number 3 is where the delegation tent area will be. There is a grass area outside the fence line, as this sand pit, if you will, or construction zone at the time is now a turf field as well. Nothing can be on the turf other than the designated features that Special Olympics Maryland has put in place. So no delegation tents, no chairs, nothing can be on the courts, on the turf, other than what we've already designated. This is the Tiger Plaza. That's where the family hospitality area will be and merchandise. So again, this is the Union Garage. You come right in here, you park, come right out here, boom, you're on the grass area. This is where you can set up your tents. There's a gate that takes you right into this location, and you can have your athletes walk over here at their time. The courts will be running this way from the top of number 4 to center court, or center field, if you will. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Number 2 is a shaded location at the University Union. There's a big overhang there, lots of shade there. There's lots of shade down Towson Way as well. And obviously in the garage, there's shade is there as well there. Number 1 is where the awards area will take place. There's a nice picnic shelter area there, and we'll also do lunch distribution from number 1. So this is the way the courts will be lined up. We're going to do 5 groups of 4 courts, if you will. Again, coming from Burdick Hall, stretching over to the Union Garage, up against the far fence line. So we do plan on having bleachers there. Not a lot of seating, but there is some. We're just going to spread those out to each of these courts so that the families can have, and other spectators can have, a good viewing perspective. We'll talk a little bit more on that when you see the pictures. So we have the new location we've talked about. Again, Towson Town or University Union Garage is where you can park. No food or drink is allowed on the turf at all. So if you are a spectator and going to sit in the bleachers that are provided, you're only allowed to bring in water. If you bring in anything else, you'll be asked to leave. They're very protective of their turf. They have signs there. That's their policy, not ours, so we're respecting that. The award ceremonies, again, I'll show you all these things of the locations. So I'm not going to spend time on this, but you'll see the pictures in just a second. One thing is no golf carts. If you have use of a golf cart through your head of delegation, you may see some golf carts coming on the turf. Know that those are specialized electric golf carts. So don't think you saw one, you can ride on there as well. All the other golf carts are gas powered, and you are not allowed to have any gas-operated vehicles on the turf, so just be aware of that. So this is the Tiger Plaza right outside of the Towson Town Boulevard Garage, walking over to Burdick Fields. This is where the family tent and hospitality, as well as merchandise, will be. This is the tent area for delegations. So you can see this is the University Union Garage. This whole area is grass. This is first come, first serve with your tents. You walk right through this gate, and that puts you on the competition courts, which will be running this way, okay? So this is the only place you can set up tents. There was a question about, before the turf and everything was put down, on the fence line, running adjacent to University Union Garage, can we set up tents there? There's really no location for that. There's one small location we'll show you in a minute. But again, this is the designated area for Tent City for delegations. Nothing can be on the turf. So right where this bleacher is, that's the borderline. So this is Burdick Hall. This is where the swimming venue, looking down on the courts. So the courts will be running towards the University Union Garage this way. Great overview. If you're standing up here, you want to see an overview and check it out. Great viewing area there. You'll notice there are gray bricks and red bricks. Nothing can be on the red bricks. So don't think there's a big area up there we can set up our tent. No, no, no. This is Towson policy. Those are for emergency vehicles and other access vehicles to come through. So you have some areas here for some chairs, but no tents. This is the overview we were just looking at, down onto the courts. So you see there is a grass area on this side. This is where the competition courts will be running. Now, this doesn't really show you, it's a pretty significant slope from the sidewalk down to the courts. But if you're creative with your tents and your backside of the tents, you don't extend those legs at all, and you extend the front legs down in this area, you may be able to provide some shade in that area. But so this is open for chairs, whatever you want to set up. This is the awards area in the picnic pavilion. outside of the University Union. So if you walk out of the awards area, you come down here. This is where the food distribution will be in a tent. Walk down this sidewalk, boom, you're right on the courts. Okay, so it's a very short walk to get to awards and get to lunch. Just wanted to show you that location as well. This is the overhang we were talking about earlier. A lot of shade in here. We'll set up some tables and chairs for people to have lunch. Again, this is the picnic area at the very end of that slide. So that's the awards and lunch distribution, some shade. Walk right down here, or walk right out here, you're right onto the courts. So, any questions at this point that you've seen so far, Zach? Okay, great. So we'll just go into some little bit of Bocce specific information. So just make sure everyone's at the staging area. There's no staging tent. Just get to your designated courts about 10 minutes prior to the start of the game. And we have a predetermined time limit of 25 minutes per match. That'll be on the overhead scoreboard. And either the winner is determined either by the end of that 25-minute period or the number of points, which is 12 for singles and doubles. So all games will use the same clock. And again, that's on the scoreboard. We will have results posted on the fence line so that coaches and everybody can keep up with the scores and the matches and see how the athletes are faring. Doubles and teams. Again, we have no teams, so we'll talk about doubles. So alternates are allowed to be activated, provided several things occur. The alternate that's being activated was already registered for Bocce and registered as an alternate. They can be an alternate for multiple teams. We also want to make sure that that alternate being activated is very comparable as far as their qualifying score to the athlete that they're replacing. What we don't want to have is someone who has a much better score, and then that team now has an unfair advantage. So we want to make sure that that's in place. So let us know as soon as possible if there's any activation of alternates. And if an athlete wants to continue playing doubles and their partner has scratched, that athlete can continue to play in doubles, but they'll only be awarded 2 ball throws instead of 4 ball throws in each frame. There's still a chance that athlete can win. So just make sure you're aware of that. We've had one issue with that already been addressed. So we want to make sure everyone's aware of that. Bocce balls will provide all of those. If there is anyone who needs the lighter weight balls, let us know. And you can address those to Kara. There's her email address on this slide. They will not be divisioned separately. They'll be divisioned along their teammates that use, or their competitors that use the regular set of balls and weights. So awards, we talked about that. As soon as the competition is done and the division and the results are in place, we'll have those divisions report to the awards area to receive their awards, get their lunch, whatever. So again, that's not necessarily a hangout area, as we will provide those other areas for people to hang out, whether it's a delegation tent area or under the overhang, etc. Updated forecast, again, we always get people calling and saying, hey, have you checked the weather? Yes, we're checking the weather. Just rest assured that that's something we always consistently do with not only ourselves, but also working alongside Towson University. We are not providing sunscreen. That's up to you as coaches, just because there can be allergies we're not aware of. So just make sure you're providing that to your athletes, and keep hydrated. Again, we talked about the potential warmer situations on the turf this year. We will have water for the athletes on the courts, but obviously keep that happening with the athletes. Keep them hydrated and in the shade when they're not competing. Rane Plan, again, we'll check that out. We'll let you know. You can check with the venue directors, Kendall and Kara, and others. But we will obviously notify you guys as needed. The only thing I will say is if in the tent areas where you can set up your own tents, if weather comes in and we need to take those down, we've had issues in the past where we've had some confrontations, if you will, with family members and others. If we have determined with Towson tents need to come down, please comply with that. We want to make sure that not only your tents are safe, but everyone near your tents and everyone's property is safe and clear of any issues that may arise from high winds, etc. Uniforms and attire, again, hopefully everyone knows this, but no jeans, no running shorts. We want to look professional and represent our athletes in Special Olympics in a professional manner. So shorts are appropriate as long as they're nice, and kind of think of it as you're going to a nice golf course. Collared shirt and a nice shorts or long slacks. If you wear, or when you're wearing your credentials, athletes can tuck those in their shirt, but we want those to be kept on the athletes at all times. Footwear, again, with the protection of the turf. Make sure we have no spikes or cleats. Tennis shoes are very appropriate, but we don't want to mess up the turf. Hats, you can wear those to protect yourself from the sun. No headphones or cell phones or other electronic devices that can be distraction will be permitted. Coaching, just a simple reminder, as we always do, no coaching, instructional or tactical coaching instructions once the athletes get on the court for their competition. That's not just from coaches, that's from family members and others, so please make sure families are aware of that as well. We'd hate to disqualify anybody for an infraction of the coaching issues there. Now, in doubles, obviously partners and athletes, teammates, whatever, they can talk with each other and strategize, absolutely. Timeouts, if there's an injury or illness or any unavoidable or unanticipated delays happen, we can make the adjustment and we may add to the official time depending on the situation. So kind of like soccer, if you ever watch that, extended time or whatever. So we'll be taking a look at that. Measurements, again, all the officials know what they're doing. The volunteers will be trained to make sure all the measuring is happening correctly, as well as, just the instruction there. So they'll be informed and instructed and trained. If there is an issue where they're not doing it exactly correctly, we will be monitoring that, but it's more important. Well, I shouldn't say it's more important, but even if they do it consistently and correctly, as long as they're doing it the same way at all times, it still measures which ball is closest. So if there's an issue, just make sure you bring it up to one of the officials or the venue director. They'll monitor that and make sure that everything is fair to all competitors. We talked about the bleachers, lawn chairs. Again, nothing is permitted on the turf other than what will be existing there already. We talked about all the other areas. You're good to go. Again, as you just abide by the grass area, then we won't have any issues. Protests will be at the Bocce Control Center, which will be at mid-court or mid-field. That's where the coaches can file the protests and any appeals as well. Bunch of information here with codes of conduct. Not going to hit all of it, or really any of it, other than the fact that it's here for your reference purposes. It's basically, you know yourselves, act professionally. Everyone's looking up to you guys as coaches, as athletes. Partners look to you as a leader, as an example. Respect of all, not just your athletes, other competitors, the officials, all the volunteers, etc. So we also have included the family code of conduct, spectator code of conduct, etc. Here we've included the social media posts. The more hits we get, the better we look, and the more exposure we get as an organization. And you can showcase all of the fun that you're having with the athletes and all their accomplishments and good times and just having a great experience so that we can continue to grow as an organization. So I want to just share that with everyone. And again, we want to thank all of our sponsors for everything they do for us, not just at summer games, but also year-round. Here are some additional resources and contact information for you guys. The website is the coaches' resources that we were talking about. If you haven't checked that out, please go there. A lot of good information, not just for bocce, but summer games in general, the other sports, etc. It's really user-friendly, as well as using it on your phone. A lot of the information that's there is easily accessed through the phones. So if you have any questions in regards to athletics and bocce, since Kendall, again, is no longer our staff sports director, we're currently looking for applications and to replace that position. But Ron Freeman for athletics, Kara for bocce, Zach for swimming, Melissa Anger for softball and cheerleading, and again, myself, Steve Bennett, for any general questions related to summer games. That is all I have. Kendall, if you're still on the phone, if you want to unmute, if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Hi, yes. Hi, everyone. I hope that all of your seasons have gone well, and I'm super excited to see you at summer games. The only thing that I have to add is scratches. So I know there's a deadline for scratches, but if you find it out on Friday night, please let me know. Please come prepared to the coaches' meetings and give your scratches to Kara, who will pass them along to me. The sooner we know who isn't going to be attending, the easier it is for us to completely fix the schedule for the next day. So if you could just try to be as great about that as possible, that would be awesome. Also, I know the layout might be a little concerning with spectator space, but don't worry, it's going to be so much better than last year on that moon bounce that we were playing on. There really is a lot of space, but like Steve said, it is going to be very hot on there, so please make sure your athletes are wearing sunscreen, have a hat on, really anything to keep them out of the sun as much as possible. And I think that's all that I have, Steve.
Great. One of the things we are also allowing is on the courts, if you want to provide a little bit of shade for the athletes while they're competing, we will allow them to use umbrellas. So, you can see people as they're walking around at tourists or on the beach or whatever like that. It will be a handheld umbrella, nothing else. It'll be a handheld umbrella. So that's something, if you want to provide to your athletes, you're more than capable and able to do so. Again, last call for questions. I don't know if I ran through and everyone's sleeping at this time, or if it was so thorough that there are no questions, but few more minutes for any questions. But in the meantime, I do want to thank each and every one of you guys as coaches and leaders of your delegation and bocce from your county and area programs. Without coaches, obviously Special Olympics doesn't happen. So all the dedication you've put forth through this season, a lot of you I know serve in coaches' roles in other sports as well, serving the athletes and partners, and your leadership is what makes Special Olympics happen. So we look forward to a great summer games, culminating event, and showcasing everything that you guys have worked with, your competitors, and have a great time this summer game. So we really appreciate all of your efforts. Look forward to seeing you. And with that, I guess we'll conclude. Again, thanks everyone for your time this evening. Hope it was informative. And any questions, you'll have that information. So just reach out to the proper person, and we'll do our best to find answers for you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Kendall.